Us is the latest film directed by Jordan Peele, this time starring Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and their children. And one night, they are terrorized and people start breaking into their house, and it just so happens that the people breaking into their house happen to look exactly like them. All in all, while the main actress, Lupita Nyong'o, is dealing with some traumatic events from her childhood. Now, if you know me, and if you followed my channel before this, you will see that then I put Get Out as my #1 favorite movie of 2017. Usually over time things change, like my #1 picks for the year, except that one. That movie has remained my favorite movie of 2017 to this day. So naturally I was just really looking forward to seeing Us because I think Jordan Peele is just a wonderful director. I like him more as a horror director than I do as a comedic actor in Key and Peele, although I do find him quite funny. So I didn't want to get my hopes too high on Us because, you know, Get Out being my favorite movie of that year and all, I'm like, I don't want to go in expecting this to be just my favorite movie of the year. But I'm gonna say this movie, by a long shot, is my favorite movie that I have seen this year. This movie is fucking phenomenal. It had me gripped from the first scene, held me all the way to the end. It had a nice blend of horror and comedy and just, I don't even know where to start with this movie. I'm gonna start with the acting. Lupita Nyong'o, the main character of the film. Best performance I've seen her in since 12 Years a Slave. Easily. Winston Duke, the best performance I've seen him in. Now granted, the only other movie I knew him in was he played M'Baku in Black Panther. But in this movie, he kind of outdid himself, and I didn't see M'Baku at all. I just saw this father figure who, whenever he was acting, he was given some challenges. He had to be the comedic relief to a horror film, so he had to show fear, he had to show this emotion while still remaining funny and hilarious, and he pulled it off perfectly. Both Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke are perfect in these roles, and I mean that, perfect. There's not a flaw in either one of them's acting in any part of the movie. And the fact that everyone in this movie has to play two versions of themselves, the good version and then the bad version, that just means that the acting is just twice as good. These people are so good in this movie that I promise they're not gonna get nominated for any sort of Oscars or anything, even though I feel like at least Lupita Nyong'o deserves it. I think she deserves a win, actually, because in this performance, she outdid what Daniel Kaluuya did in Get Out, who I also felt like deserved to be at least nominated for an Oscar, but I don't like the Oscars. We can just move past that. The movie starts out a little bit slow, but whenever shit hits the fan, it doesn't slow back down at all for the rest of the movie. The tension is there and it holds throughout the entirety of the runtime. Similar to Get Out, except this one, it's more intense than Get Out, it's scarier than Get Out, it's funnier than Get Out, and it is a hell of a lot more ambiguous than Get Out. When I left Get Out, I thought I knew everything about the movie. I was like, okay, I can figure this out, I can figure that out, I know what that means, and everything just wraps up. In this movie, that's not the case. This one, it leaves quite a few things open to interpretation, and I love that. I think that's fantastic because this is one of those movies that I just know I'm going to be talking about for months. I'm going to be talking about it with so many people. When I get people that are like, show me a good horror movie, I'm going to be like, okay, we're going to watch Us and then we're going to talk about it. Now, I know Get Out isn't technically a horror film, it's more of a psychological thriller. And to be fair, this one is psychological thriller too. But it's definitely more of a horror movie than Get Out. Like old school horror, real scares, gore, blood, it's all there. This is one of those movies that I just don't know how to review without spoiling it. All I can say is it is fantastic. The acting is perfect. The scares are real. The comedy doesn't compromise the horror. It's not like something seriously terrible's happening and then they crack a joke and it just completely undoes all the horror aspects. No, the jokes fit in perfect. The horror fits in perfect. You can go from biting your nails to laughing to being on the edge of your seat. And that's all due to Jordan Peele's perfect timing. That's something that comedians and horror filmmakers have in common. They have to have perfect timing. And Jordan Peele has got that. I found myself just like smiling, just gleefully happy watching this movie because I'm like, finally a filmmaker that knows how to make good horror and knows how to make it a good movie overall and make it a movie that people are gonna remember. It's not just one of those movies that's like, oh, we'll watch it, it's kind of creepy and we'll forget about it, you know. This movie is better than Sinister and The Conjuring. I think this is one of the best horror movies that we have ever gotten. Ever. All the characters doing what they're doing, caring about everybody, and then putting the pieces together as the movie goes on, and now now that I know how it ends, going back and wanting to rewatch the whole thing. This movie is begging to be rewatched. And this movie is begging to be hated by regular moviegoers. I loved every frame of this movie. Now, I only saw it last night, and I've had all night and all morning to think about it. At first, I wasn't crazy about the ending, but thinking about all the other things that happened in the beginning, in the middle, and just watch the movie. You'll know what I'm talking about. Watch it. I want to go see it again. I want to go see it again today, but I saw it last night, so I need self-control. Self-control. I'm not kidding when I say that this is one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know if it's as good as Get Out, because I love them both so much. This is a coin flip type situation right there, but they're incomparable. This movie is so different from Get Out that you really you gotta watch them in two different mindsets and two different settings. It's two completely different movies, and they aren't comparable. Looking back on it, I just tell myself I gotta critique this movie professionally. I've named all the things that I love. Now it's time to get into the flaws of the movie. I don't think I have any, guys. I genuinely think this movie is close to perfect. It is everything I want in a horror film. It's the right amount of entertainment for everybody. And I gotta say, well deserved. I've never given this rating before. Never. But I'm gonna. Us gets an A+. Yeah, I've never given an A+ to a movie before, not on this channel at least. But this is definitely the movie that's going to break that for me, because it deserves. This is why I go to the theaters, guys. This is why I review movies, is because of films like this. This is the type of movie that inspires me to go out and make films myself. I wish I could walk up to Jordan Peele personally and just thank him for knowing what he's doing, and thank him for giving us these great works of art, these insane pieces of entertainment that are just going to remain timeless, and that I'm going to rewatch my entire life. Guys, go watch Us. Go watch it. You won't regret it. This movie is fantastic.